There have been very few catastrophic relationships as destructive as the Arab-Israeli relationship. The foundation of their feud is one that began long ago and impacted the entire modern world. Decades and decades of human beings throughout the world have witnessed the violence and trauma caused by this issue.
The issue arose as soon as Israel was founded in 1948. Egypt maintained a continuous state of war with Israel due to the fact that Israel was once a part of Egypt but was now created as its own country. Their continuous fighting would eventually lead to the downfall of both countries if continued. Something had to be done.
Anwar al-Sadat realized this, so he decided to give up fighting and turn to diplomacy. With the help of U.S. President Carter, an agreement was made and set the framework for negotiations between the feuding sides and ultimately created a peace treaty. The treaty led to the return of the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt and created the beginnings for a broader peace in the region, including Palestine self-rule. It was signed in 1979 at Camp David by U.S. President Jimmy Carter, Egyptian President Anwar al-Sadat, and Israeli Minister Menachem Begin.
Mr. Carter, I have the honor to inform you that during 2 weeks after my return home, I will submit a motion before Israel's parliament to decide on the following question. If during the negotiations to conclude a peace treaty between Israel and Egypt, all outstanding issues are agreed upon, are you in favor of the removal of the Israel settlers from northern and southern Sinai areas, or are you in favor of keeping the aforementioned settlers in those areas? The vote, Mr. President, on this issue will be completely free from the usual parliamentary party discipline to the effect, and although the coalition is being now supported by 70 members out of 120, every member of the Knesset, as I believe, both of the government and the opposition benches will be able to vote in accordance with his own conscience.
I transmit herewith a copy of a letter to me from Prime Minister Begin, setting forth how he processed to present the issue of the Sinai settlements to the Knesset for the latter's decision. In this connection, I understand from your letter that the Knesset approval to withdraw all Israeli settlers from Sinai, according to a timetable within the period specified for the implementation of the peace treaty, is a prerequisite to any negotiations on a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel.
Dear Mr. President Carter, in connection with the framework for a settlement in Sinai to be signed tonight, I would like to reaffirm the position of the Arab Republic of Egypt with respect to the settlements. 1. All Israeli settlers must be withdrawn from Sinai according to a timetable within the period specified for the implementation of the peace treaty. 2. Agreement by the Israeli government and its constitutional institutions to this basic principle is therefore a prerequisite to starting peace negotiations for concluding a peace treaty. And finally, 3. If Israel fails to meet this commitment, the framework shall be void and invalid.
Prime Minister Begin, I received your letter of September 17, 1978, describing how you intend to place the question of the future Israeli settlement in Sinai before the Knesset for its decision. Enclosed in this envelope, I have a copy of the letter President Sadat sent to me, but instead of me simply reading it to you, President Sadat is here to tell you himself of his opinions on the matter.
Hello, Mr. Begin. Hello. This will be the letter that I previously sent to Mr. Carter. I am writing you to reaffirm the position of the Arab Republic of Egypt with respect to Jerusalem. Arab Jerusalem is an integral part of the West Bank. Legal and historical Arab rights in the city must be respected and restored. Arab Jerusalem should be under Arab sovereignty. 3. The Palestinian inhabitants of Arab Jerusalem are entitled to exercise their legitimate national rights, being part of the Palestinian people in the West Bank. 4. Relevant Security Council resolutions, particularly resolutions 242 and 267, must be applied with regard to Jerusalem. All the measures taken by Israel to alter the status of the city are null and void and should be rescinded. 5. All people must have free access to the city and enjoy the free exercises of worship and the right to visit and transit to holy places without distinction or discrimination. 6. The holy places of each faith may be placed under the administration and control of their representatives. 7 essential functions in the city should be undivided and joint municipal council composed of an equal number of Arab and Israeli members can supervise their carrying out of these functions in the way the city shall be undivided.
I have the honor to inform you, Mr. President, that on June 28, 1967, Israel's parliament promulgated and adopted a law to the effect the government is empowered by a decree to apply the law, the jurisdiction, and administration of the state to any part of Eretz Israel as stated in that decree. On the basis of this law, the government of Israel decreed in July 1967 that Jerusalem is one city indivisible, the capital and the state of Israel.
Mr. Sadat, I have received your letter of September 17, 1978, setting forth the Egyptian position on Jerusalem. I am transmitting a copy of that letter to Prime Minister Begin for his information. The position of the United States on Jerusalem remains, as stated by Ambassador Goldberg in the United States General Assembly on July 14, 1967, and subsequently by Ambassador Yost in the United Nations Security Council on July 1, 1969.
Dear Mr. President Carter, in connection with the framework for peace in the Middle East, I am writing you this letter to inform you of the opposition of the Arab Republic of Egypt with respect to the implementation of the comprehensive settlement to ensure the implementation of the provisions related to the West Bank and Gaza, and in order to safeguard this legitimate right of the Palestinian people. Egypt will be prepared to assume that Arab role emanating from these provisions following consultations with Jordan and the representatives of the Palestinian people. Sincerely, El Sadat.
Prime Minister Begin, I hereby acknowledge that you have informed me as follows. A. In each paragraph of the agreed framework document, the expressions Palestinians or Palestinian people are being and will be construed and understood by you as Palestinian Arabs. B. Prime Minister Begin, I hereby acknowledge that you have informed me as follows. A. In each paragraph agreed framework document, I messed up. I'm sorry. Prime Minister Begin, I hereby acknowledge that you have informed me as follows. A. In each paragraph of the agreed framework document, the expressions Palestinians or Palestinian people are being and will be construed and understood by you as Palestinian Arabs. B. In each paragraph in which the expression West Bank appears, it is being and will be understood by the government of Israel as Judea and Samaria.
The signing of the Camp David Accords Treaty resolved numerous outstanding conflicts between Israel and Egypt. It also set the precedents for peace towards other conflicting nations.
It led to Sadat and Begin sharing the 1978 Nobel Peace Prize. This symbolized the success of the treaty and exemplifies how diplomacy is the rational way to go.
Along with being a quintessential example of diplomacy, the Camp David Accord shows the perfect balance of negotiation.